It's not. I know. My wife mocked it up this weekend on Canvas, is that this thing?
Is that what it is?
Canvas or
Yeah,
Canvas or whatever.
Oh, that's class.
Yeah, the community connections tools. Custom made. Oh, did you see those? That what email?
You didn't see it?
I must not have sent it to the principal.
I don't think so. I had to work before I came here. Show up to the farm, they got curled hair, makeup. What are you
The
doing?
jacket? Yeah.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I'm good, how are you? I was really nervous.
Afterwards, I'm like, was I professional? I don't really know. By middle of the meeting.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I've got mine on the airplane mode, because if I don't.
No presentations tonight. There are taking steps, positive steps of service awards.
Yeah, so I would like to recognize our staff appreciation coffee cart. So if those people would like to stand up who are here for that. So on behalf of the School District of Lodi, we'd like to thank all the individuals and businesses who have contributed time and donations to the staff appreciation coffee cart. It is with the greatest gratitude that we thank all the individuals and families, as well as the local businesses who have volunteered and or donated, including Main Street Market, Piggly Wiggly, Lodi Sausage Company and Meat Market, Kitty Corner Daycare, LCAT, Haven Hills Assisted Living and Memory Care, Peter and Paula Tunn on behalf of I-39 Supply, Buttercream Bakery, and Coffee Bar, and Taher, Lodi Schools Food Service Program. The overwhelming support and positive encouragement brings joy to all of our wonderful teachers and staff at each of our amazing schools every month. Hashtag Lodi Pride. So, any of you three want to talk or speak about this at all?
Yes, they do. You need to come on camera.
Yeah, come on. There's $100,000 for the seed money for the cart. And you can put this on the cart.
Yes,
Oh, we would
thank
love
you,
to
we
put it on
would,
the cart.
yes.
Yes.
So actually,
Where
do we
right at that
stand?
table.
Right here.
There's where the
Okay.
camera is.
Sit at the table?
You can sit at the table or just stand there.
Okay.
You can see yourself. up there.
We'll just,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, we'll
You,
see.
you can see right.
Okay. We can show you our aprons that we wear, which were made by an aunt of a Lodi middle schooler. So everything we have is from a volunteer, from a business. It was started just basically as a way to bring appreciation, to bring support, to bring love to our teachers and staff. It started just as some personal donations to it, and it has grown to, we are fully stocked and we have volunteers, we have businesses supporting us, and extra individual support from parents and families through the rest of the school year. And we kind of have had to turn some people away and said, let's just think it next year maybe as we go, because it has been just amazing. That we have had screams from teachers, we have had tears from teachers, we have had, even students now are like, telling the teachers, the coffee cart's coming. I think they kind of know, like, my son in second grade says his teacher's gonna be so happy today because coffee cart's coming, so.
And the teacher's like, I heard from my students that the coffee cart is coming. So what the coffee cart consists of is, we have coffee, obviously, and then we have some type of a fruit. We have granola bars, popcorn, trail mix.
Yep.
And a treat. And a treat,
Usually
a
a
special
sweet
treat.
treat, yeah.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
And then we have some type of water that we give out to the teachers and.
Sparkling water,
Mhm.
Diet Coke for the non-coffee drinkers.
Yep.
Whatever they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, Main Street Market Piggly Wiggly has been amazing in town to donate and give us a lot of products at cost if we need them.
And then actually now, for the this last month and then the rest of the year. And moving forward, they're giving us everything they're just donating it in support of the schools, and they're just really excited for what we're doing and have been an overwhelming support for the schools. So we've been very happy to work with them and see the support they have there.
And then other businesses and organizations are sponsoring the sweet treat that comes. So, like this month is Pie Month. So
Pie Day.
Buttercream, yep, Pie Day, thank you. Buttercream Bakery made a bunch of pies for the teachers, and then that is sponsored by, like this month was LCAP. So that's sponsored by that, so. Yeah.
So thank you guys for the
Yes.
recognition.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to be in your schools,
Yeah.
interrupting everyone.
I think that's the most nerve-wracking thing is like knocking on a door and being like, hi, and they're like, nope, class, sit here for a second, I'm gonna go get coffee, so.
They will hunt you down.
Yes.
Even if you're not in your office.
Yes, that is true.
Last week I was and they were walking around and I was in Dr. Carl's office and they were ready to buy there, but no, they stopped.
Yeah,
Yep.
can't miss anyone to show them appreciation.
Just appreciate it so much. It is so awesome. It's just such an easy, you think about it. I know it's a lot of work behind the scenes, but it's such an easy, smart way to just say thank you. And the teachers just so much, and other staff just appreciate it so much.
Yeah, we hit everyone, the lunch ladies, the janitors, we hit everyone.
If you're in the building, you're getting coffee.
And if you happen to visit and you're from a different school, you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
get
we've
it
had
twice.
some of that too, where we had visitors, yeah, or we'll leave it on your desk if you're not there, so, yeah, so thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
More there?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
I didn't know how many people were coming, so we were ready.
So we'll move to public input. Purpose of public input agenda item is for citizens and staff of the School District of Lodi to provide comments on any agenda item or to publicly address the Board of Education on items that pertain to school business. Portion of the meeting during which the comment of the public is invited. Sorry, this is hard to read when it's this wide. Portion of the meeting during which the comment of the public is invited shall be limited to 10 people unless extended by a vote of the board prior to the beginning of the public input portion of the meeting. The amount of time allotted to each speaker will generally not exceed 3 minutes. If the speaker has questions for the boards, they will be duly noted and responses will be provided in an appropriate manner. The board cannot respond to individual questions or individual comments as part of the public input agenda item. And as an additional reminder, the board cannot take action on any item that is brought forth during the public input session or on any item that was not posted on the meeting agenda. If you are providing comments, we would merely ask that you please come to the microphone or the table up here and state your name and your municipality of residence. Before I call anyone, I wanted to clarify something that was from last month's public input. So at last month's public input, it was alleged by a community member that the School District of Lodi sold a parcel of land east of the old primary school to Stephen Ricks, a former school board member. This allegation was not true. Stephen Ricks bought this parcel of land east of the old primary school from a private citizen, not the School District of Lodi. At last month's public input, it was also alleged by a community member that the School District of Lodi gave some wood from the elementary school bleachers to Peter Tunn, former alderperson of the city of Lodi. After the bleachers were deemed unsafe and decommissioned by the state inspection, this allegation was also not true. Per my request at a public board meeting, some of the wood from the decommissioned bleachers was set aside and offered to anyone in the school district who could put it to good use. After advertising that wood and waiting for a lengthy period of time, no one in the district came forward to take the wood. Peter Tunn was gracious enough to haul away the decommissioned bleachers from the elementary school, saving the school district both time and money and preventing that wood from going in the landfill. Okay, so I will now call those who have signed up for citizen input. Tonight we have 2 people. If you can just come up to the table. So the first one is Suzanne Miller.
Good evening, board members. I'll try to stay on task here. I am said citizen, questioning many things that I've seen over my time here. I've been privileged to discussions, particularly with the bleachers, and it's like nobody wanted to buy the primary school either, and yet we packed City Hall multiple times. regarding that sale after it was done. So one of the reasons I keep coming back is that the communication between the city taxpayer, the school board, and City Hall is completely broken. I just went to the public hearing regarding the Sauk Street rebuild. This is a safety project that the city plans to borrow $1.5 million. That's in addition to whatever referendum you have. And it's wrapped in a coat of safety due to traffic coming up to the school. Those roads were designed before those schools were out there, at certainly the primary, to go out and around. And now all of a sudden, we're going to bring it up Sauk Street, where it was never designed that way. I watched a semi, northbound on 113, go hard left on Pleasant Street Bridge, hard right on Highway 60, hard left on Lodi Street, right up Sauk Street. This is the new safety plan. Or so Mayor Groves Lloyd has said. She is in complete communication with you. This is another one of these, somebody knows, nobody else knows, and the city taxpayer is paying a bulk of this, particularly for the buses and for things like a school resource officer, which you will not fund. Our police station is in a floodplain. Our evidence room is in a floodplain. We had chicken wire in our gun locker. Not supposed to talk about these things. But we have $1 million football stadium so people don't get their feet wet. I'd really like to see people who talk about safety act with safety. And that is following the money. Now, I still have questions about the bleachers, about the sale. You talk that you will get back, Mr. Steinberg. I'm supposed to direct my questions to you. It's been what, 3 months now?
You're welcome to call me anytime.
I've left messages. Mr. Whippenfirth, you did call me. Your 1 minute answer just left me with more questions because I still believe that there are restrictive covenant issues and building inspector issues. And that is my 3 minutes. And if I do that 24 times, we will have 1 high school period of political science. Thank you.
We have to get done. All right. Good. Why is it not stopping?
Tech support.
Yeah,
You gotta push stop.
I did.
Hit it harder, buddy.
Just get rid of it. Start over.
Thank you, everyone who's running.
Next, we have Monica Simpson.
I'm sorry, it's just good to see your faces.
Yeah, no,
I'm-
us too.
It just is.
We feel the same way.
Thank you. I just had this quote in my head by Henry Ford. Just came across it, and I love it. It says, he said, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would say, don't change anything. And this is Henry Ford, and I just love that. Because sometimes it feels like, it just, from the outside, it seems like continually asking for referenda. We're not changing anything. We just know like it's non-recurring. In a few years, they're gonna ask for more, and that's the reality. So it just reminded me of that. I am a non-tech mom, and there are some things that I think can be simplified and cut back that aren't teachers. Technology spending really bothers me. Our children are so privileged here in Lodi compared to spending in other districts, compared to spending on technology, on subscriptions. Gosh, seeing what's going on in the world, like we really are privileged to be here. Do we really need more tech programs to keep up? I don't think it's being done for kids. I think it's being done to keep up with the Joneses, and I don't think the Joneses are necessarily right. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of social disorders connected to heavy use of technology, and I know we can't control what people do at home, but I hope you will start to consider curricular models that rely less on technology and more on getting back to the basics, what you learn in school. The neurological connections are actually developed through increased screen time. The science on that hasn't changed. It can be paused during virtual schooling when we had no choice, but we do now. I do think we can scale back on this, but it would take work and focus across the board. It would also reduce costs. But again, it would take work. We have groomed our education system, and many schools are doing the same things we are with technology. If we meet our expenses through a referendum, you should consider that, though. I love Mrs. So-and-so more than Epic's literacy software, which costs a lot of money. So please do consider that. We do have a chance to be great whether or not the referendum passes, but just relying on funding cycles or blaming formulas, that's just more of the same. It's not like changing the system. It's just kind of going back to keep progressing on a small slope instead of changing the system getting higher. And then I don't know who started the post with the teacher faces, who's gonna lose their job if the referendum doesn't pass. I don't think it was you guys. I don't know whose decision it was to notify teachers. But I've talked to people in other districts, and I don't know any other district where that's happened. It almost seems like blackmail. Again, I don't think it's you guys who did that. It also seems kind of like a marketing strategist would have said, oh, well, they're not really buying it, so put a face to this. I just want to say, I guess that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Next, we have the consent agenda items. Items on this section will be adopted as a group unless a board member requests a specific item be removed from consent agenda and addressed separately. We have approval of the minutes from February 14th board meeting. We have the vouchers, which is the payroll checks, account payable checks, credit card payments. We have fundraiser requests for track and baseball. There are no fundraiser reports. There is a field trip request, an overnight field trip for baseball. There are no committee recommendations for approval under other. We have a request for early Wednesday night activities and early college now applications. Under resignation and retirement, we have 7th grade language arts and high school PBIS resignation. Under co-curricular, we have JV baseball coach, JV softball coach, JV2 baseball coach, JV girls soccer, middle school assistant track coach, volunteer girls soccer coach, assistant girls soccer coach, high school PBIS coach, high school assistant track coach at halftime, and extended choral contract at halftime. Under community and crew, we have 2 lifeguard and water safety instructors. Under regular staff, we have summer school teachers, there are 29 of them. We have summer school educational assistants, there are 19 of them. We have 2 IT youth apprentices. We have primary school special education assistant tabled. We have middle school special education assistant special education assistant. We have long-term high school science substitute teacher. Under personnel other, we have leave without pay requests. There are 2 of them. And let me go back and correct. Under co-curricular, we have JV2 baseball coach, which will be tabled, and a JV girls soccer coach, which will be tabled. I think I got it right now.
Hold on. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of the approval of the resignation of Michelle Pulse from the high school PBS coaching position and tabling of the primary school special education assistant, JV2 baseball coach, and the JV girls soccer coach.
Second.
Motion by Angie and a second by Bill. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 5-0. Insurance consultant, 801.
Yeah, currently the district is utilizing services of M3 for insurance consulting. Over last year, USI team leader Al Jager met with Brent Richter and myself to discuss what their team has been doing with neighboring districts and also to gauge our interest in joining them with many of our neighboring schools to help try to influence some of the Madison markets in insurance. We presented this concept to the contract review committee, whose members then recommended we take this out to bid and interview consulting companies to determine the best fit for the school district of Lodi. On February 23rd, members of the School District of Lodi interviewed 2 companies for the insurance consulting interviews. The interview committee consisted of Terry Haig from the Board of Education, Julie McKernan, Board of Education, Maureen Palmer, District Office Wellness Representative, Chris Lehman, Human Resources Support Staff Representative, Crystal Hoffman, Payroll Support Staff Representative, Brent Richter, Administrative Representative, and then our food service and LEA reps were unable to attend that evening. The committee recommended that the board approve the district moving from M3 to USI, starting immediately. So we'll be looking for a motion for us to make that change.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve USI Universal Services LLC to provide insurance consulting services for the school district of Lodi beginning immediately.
I'll second.
Motion by Julie and a second by Angie. Is there any further discussion on it? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. ESSER 3 budget discussion and action.
Yeah, so ESSER 3 is our COVID relief funding. So there's been ESSER 1, ESSER 2, both which have pretty much been utilized to help support our district last year and this year through COVID. The school district has now been required to resubmit an initial ESSER 3 budget to DPI on March 11th. The ESSER 3 budget that was submitted to DPI is attached in board docs. The budget was built on the premise of the referendum passing and is aligned directly to the district's strategic plan. The budget plan is to move the district on the priorities set forth by our community during the strategic planning process. The ESSER 3 budget was shared with the Facility and Finance Committee, and they unanimously approved to move to the full board at the recommendation of approval contingent on the referendum passing. I'll have Dr. Carls talk a little bit more about that ESSER 3 budget, how we put it together.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things to remember when it comes to the ESSER 3 budget that you'll see in board docs. One, it's a draft. It covers 3 years, and undoubtedly new needs will be identified and adjustments will occur during the course of that time period. So those are 2 really important things to keep in mind. We're so grateful to have an abundance of input around the future direction for the district from the community that occurred throughout the strategic planning process. So this feedback allowed us to begin to align ESSER 3 to the various strategic planning areas to move our district forward, and at the same time be responsive to the impact of the pandemic, which is in line, both of those things with ESSER 3. You'll see a strong focus on supporting all students in areas such as math and reading within ESSER 3 budget. There's an opportunity here to invest in core academic resources that will build a strong foundation in our students and offer multiple supports for when they struggle. We also have identified ways to possibly increase some of the funding by leveraging Department of Workforce Development matching grants to move the district forward in areas like STEAM and career and technical education that has been identified by our community through the strategic planning process. So it should again be noted that the district has created a secondary budget in the event that the referendum fails. ESSER 3 funds will shift in their intent in that case to being leveraged as short-term stopgaps to prevent additional staffing cuts beyond what has already been communicated to stakeholders. So when you look at the ESSER 3 budget, you will see a column that shows exactly how an item not only kind of fits the general parameters that we get from the federal government around ESSER 3, but also aligns with our strategic plan.
And as Dr. Carls mentioned, we had to submit this budget on March 11th, so we put forth the budget that is based on a referendum passing. We can make that adjustment if we need to. We work with DPI. If the referendum does fail, then we will go back and readjust. And that budget has also been put together and has, it's listed. There's specific staff members we would support that we wouldn't reduce because the referendum is failing, because we could reduce them or could support them with that ESSER 3 funding. But it's a 1-year type of stopgap measure, as he said. So one of the things we looked at when looking at ESSER 3 is the intent, right? The intent is to help move our district forward, is to leverage that to leapfrog our district, and as well as make sure we're supporting all the things we needed to with COVID And that is what we did. So we took this, as I said, to the Facility and Finance Committee. They reviewed it. They've also asked it to come to the Curriculum Committee so they can review it and go through it in a little more depth as well. But we look for approval of this budget.
I'd be willing to make the proposal to, let's start over. I recommend that we approve the proposed ESSER 3 budget contingent upon the community supporting the referendum.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Bill and a second by Angie. Any discussion?
I just have a question. With this ESSER, these are being federal funds. I don't know who directed you. Did you have like a stringent guideline you had to follow to fit these funds into certain things, or was it just a free-for-all?
No, there's categories that, beyond the categories of the strategic plan, there's categories that you can fit into for the ESSER 3 budgets. And so when that information is inputted into the system called WISE grants that our business manager, Brent Richter, would associate that with, when that's inputted in there, each of these would be categorized by a section that fits within the general guidelines of ESSER 3 as well.
Okay, so is this getting, once we approve it, is it then getting a final approval? Or is it, I just wouldn't want anything to come back on us if we didn't do it. Not saying you didn't do it correctly, but if we missed something and then we have to owe back money.
No, it's been, we already reached out to DPI to make sure that it was, that we get everything in that needs to be in, is everything cross all our T's, dot our I's, and we got an email back from them. Yep, everything looks good. They will review it now in the course of, and in the same order that they get them. And if there's anything that they want to ask question, they can come back and question and make us tweak if we need to. So it's an ongoing process. One of the pieces that we needed to do with, we had to have 20% of ESSER funds had to go towards learning loss of ESSER 3. So that's laid out in here as well, and we are well above that category. So for us, it was, and the other piece with ESSER that sometimes is a little confusing is we have to spend it and then get reimbursed. So like people sometimes will look at, it's not like we just get that money. We have to spend the money and then we reimburse. So like people, like we've had some people say, you haven't even spent all your ESSER 1 or you haven't spent all ESSER 2. Well, we have spent it, but we, quarterly we make those reimbursements and then they reimburse us for that information or that money. So, and this is 3 years, we have 3 years to spend this yet. So that's why you see a 3-year budget, and as Dr. Carls talks about, it's a draft, right? So as we start going through, year one, and we might start doing some of these things like, oh, maybe we need to adjust that a little bit, because it's always hard to look 3 years out in the future. But this does create some flexibility for us. The concern you have anytime you use federal funding is not to use it for it's to use it for like one-time costs. So use it for professional development, use it for curriculum materials. You don't want to use it for ongoing costs like staff, right? When you start using it for ongoing costs like staff, because then there's a cliff. Like, you'll hear that a lot from different districts, funding cliff, where you funded staff and now federal money's gone. How are you going to continue to support that staff? Or
So I think it bears repeating, the conversation we had in committee meeting about this also was that we have identified, we've gone through all of our students and identified learning loss in those students, and that how this is set up to address that learning loss over the summer and in the fall, and, well, not this spring, but following spring, and try to get those students caught back up again, and it's directly addressed with these funds.
Yes, you'll see funding opportunities here to support summer school opportunities for students. You'll see time for teachers to come during the summer school and plan intervention and enrichment supports for the fall, so to get some advanced planning on things like that. You'll see investment opportunities for investing in intervention resources for students who show that they have potential learning gaps in reading or math, and having really solid research-based foundational support, both from professional development for teachers, but also resources so that we can help students start to close those gaps if they exist. But also investment in just solid, core, tier 1 instruction that all students need. Again, to benefit not only now, but for years to come.
True. Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Referendum presentation.
it's not really much of a presentation. I just wanted to again, remind the community, The district is really coming to the end of our 22 public presentation meetings on the referendum. We presented to 7 of the 9 municipalities, have presented to several civic groups, did a Facebook Live presentation, held community conversations at Butterfield Bakery. The district has placed articles in the newspaper, has put together a referendum edition of our district-wide community link newsletter, and put together a robust referendum webpage regarding upcoming referendum, information on the upcoming referendum for community members to access. The referendum webpage includes a copy of the presentation that has been shared, videos, and frequently asked question document that continues to grow. We encourage anybody who has any questions about the referendum to please visit that site. The district has taken steps to prepare if the community supports this referendum, and steps to, if the community does not support the referendum. If the district community supports the referendum, we'll continue on with our current class sizes, current student supports, and current programming. We also work to upgrade the roofs in 2 of our buildings, upgrade the track, and upgrade technology across the district. If the community does not support the referendum, we've shared a list of steps the district will be taking, including dipping in the fund balance, using the ESSER funds we just got done talking about to offset staff reductions, reduction of our IT budget, zero of our classroom budgets, pause our building and grounds replacement cycles, not do the increases to staff insurance and retirement that are built into the referendum, look at grant funding to help backfill salaries, look at a smaller increase for staff salaries and compensation than currently budgeted for, reduce our curriculum budget, reduce bus routes, and increase material fees. Many of those steps are one-time things that we can do and are not sustainable over time. This would result in the district needing to reduce 15 to 20 positions across the district. That includes many teacher reductions, which will significantly increase class sizes at all grades level across our district. Reductions will also have some increased impact some support personnel across the district and provide intervention for some of our neediest students. This would also include other support staff positions and administrative positions as well. This information has been shared as multiple ways with the public to inform them so they can make an educated decision on April 5th. As I've said at those presentations, this is the community school district, and they are the ones who ultimately get to make that decision for the district on April 5th. So we just ask the community to please review the information regarding the referendum, educate yourself on the impacts, ask and reach out with any new questions you have, and most importantly, get out and vote on April 5th.
Thank you. COVID mitigation discussion.
COVID. So the Medical Advisory Committee met on February 22nd and put together new recommendations which went into place at the end of the day on February 25th. That information was sent out to families on February 23rd. When we moved from required face coverings to recommended face coverings. We had some changes to our close contacts and things of that nature. On February 25th, the CDC updated their guidance in regards to COVID as well, which removed the federal mask mandate on school buses. This updated information was shared out with families on February 28th, 2022. Again, we continue to see very low numbers with COVID-19 in the district, and hopeful that this will continue for the foreseeable future. But we'll continue to consult with our Medical Advisory Committee and are scheduled to meet again with that group on April 5th.
So, again, numbers continue to go down or hit zero or wherever they go, rubbing the crystal ball, right? Rubbing the crystal ball, which none of us like to do. Rearranging the cafeterias, putting them back to normal, getting...
Yeah. So that's the next step. So I'm meeting with the administrative team tomorrow, different levels. We have a middle school, high school meeting in the morning, and elementary, OSC, and primary school meeting in the afternoon, and we will start talking about more and more like what steps are next, right? So we wanted to look at one step at a time, right? So, but that is the next step, that's on our agenda tomorrow, is talk about cafeterias.
Can you share that with us at your Friday note or something?
Yeah, what the next step's gonna be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just say how amazing it is to be able to see people's faces at school? It's absolutely crazy, and so many students have came up to me and just be like, I even like have so much more energy, and I'm like, yeah, you're getting like more oxygen, you're like, I don't know, it's just night and day. So I'm glad that this was able to happen.
Yeah, well, we're glad that the numbers are down, right? they're very limited, so, but again, we continue to ask people to be very vigilant on themselves, like symptom monitoring becomes more important, and making sure we still have the testing site going. So please get tested if you have symptoms to make sure that you're not spreading this at school, because it becomes much more easier. We want to keep that number down, because I know we had one school I was on the phone with the other day, masks went away, and actually the numbers went up. Hopefully just a blip, and that's what they're hoping for, but.
School or one district?
A district. So, just want to make sure that, we're just continuing to monitor and make sure that, because as we've said before, I've said before, our COVID crystal ball sucks.
It sucks.
We're not very good, it has been thrown, so, we're about the week two, it was 2 years ago yesterday that schools closed. So.
I had a quick question. So how, the school bus,
Yeah.
so federal transportation board, city buses, airliners, that type of thing, still require masking?
Yeah, so that's
how
what-
did the schools get out of that?
So that's what
on
took
the
us a
buses?
while to get that information out, because I was banging down doors, so like, okay, is this, because the CDC said you don't have, we're not, the CDC took school buses out of that group of everybody else with TSA. And there was not a lot of guidance if TSA was saying, yeah, that's the way we're going. So it took to probably about 2:30 that afternoon before we got a legal opinion that went out across the state. Like, yep, the CDC, the TSA's guidance or their rules are based on CDC guidance. So if the CDC changes their guidance, the TSA is adopting that. So they are saying school buses are no longer part of that public transportation, but you still have to wear them on buses, and they just extended that, I think, out another month, like to April. Buses, trains, airplanes, and things of that nature, but they pulled school buses out of that group. But yes, I saw that, again, when I came out on that late Friday, I was reading it through it Saturday, trying to get somebody to say, yep, buses don't count. Because I can't put that out to parents until I actually know for sure, because it was because compared to if there's recommendations versus a mandate. If it's a mandate, we need to follow it. So.
Well, technically, it's not, I mean, it is public transportation, but it's not really.
Well, but they pulled them in, right? They had initially, CDC and TSA has always talked that school
Yeah.
buses were part of that.
Yeah.
So that's why when
Okay.
that information went out on February 23rd, it said you still have to wear a face covering on a bus, because that was the guideline.
Thank you.
iPad lease.
So the Facility Finance Committee met regarding iPad leases for next school year. To stay on our district's 4-year cycle, the recommendation of Mr. Potter is to order iPads at the end of February 2022 to ensure delivery in the summer of 2022. Mr. Potter recommends the district use iPad or Apple Inc. The Facility and Finance Committee, understanding the reduction across the district will be made if the referendum fails, unanimously approve the lease contingent on the community supporting the referendum. If the board moves ahead with the recommendation from Facility and Finance Committee and the iPads ultimately get ordered, it would probably not be the end of April. And iPads will not be here in time for the start of the school year, but that's just kind of where we are. So I would recommend that we move to approve purchase of iPads contingent on the community supporting the referendum.
I'd make the motion that we approve the purchase of replacement iPads from Apple Incorporated as presented contingent upon the community supporting the upcoming referendum.
Motion by Bill and a second by Angie. Any further discussion?
Yeah, any chance that when we hit that spot and the referendum's been passed, that we can motivate them?
They're ready to go. We'll be ready to order those things. Just like we'll be ready to post positions that are open the day after the referendum passes.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Summer school courses.
You guys gotta vote on it.
Oh, sorry.
Motion.
Thank you.
So the other piece I want to say is like, even if we freeze our technology budget like we talked about, like we freeze Chromebooks, we freeze iPads, it saves us $95,000 for a year, right? Unless we get rid of them, and then, again, then we're coming back and doing it again, and it'll probably cost a little bit more. Unless we get rid of all iPads and all Chromebooks, It's a one-time savings in a $3.85 million operating portion of our referendum. And I know there was discussion earlier about, moving away from technology, but, our kids, when they leave here, are not moving away from technology. They're not taking jobs that have less technology or involved in those things. So it's just getting kids ready for the next step, so.
I'm just curious to know how much of our curriculum is built into having to use technology. Like, is that where curriculum is going? Are we tied to devices with the current curriculum that we have, or?
That's definitely something that we could look at, and we get opportunity to look at when we bring our budget forward for curriculum this year. But I would say you have definitely technology needs, and you have different technology apps and tools that we utilize, but you still have a lot of just standard curriculum that's paper, pencil, books, things of that nature, so it's both.
So if we do have to take a drastic cut on it, we're not gonna be like with our hands tied going, we have all this great curriculum that we can't use because it's tied into this technology.
No, because we'll have our old technology. We'll have the current Chromebooks and the current iPads that we have going forward. They just become outdated over time.
Yeah.
So we'll still have all of those.
But the bigger issue with some of the too will also be the curriculum budget and pulling back on some of those.
Yes, huge.
Subscriptions and things that we use. I mean, tools that we utilize that we do. And again, can we do it? Absolutely, right? People will be able, but we have teachers that worked and planned, put these lesson plans together. Now they would have to change how they do their lesson planning, take away tools that they've been using, and go back to, and they've chosen these tools because they think they're better than what they were using in the past. Could we go back? Sure, right? I always use the example, I grew up on a dairy farm. Can I go back to milking cows by hand? Absolutely. I don't see anybody doing it. I don't even see anybody using buckets anymore, right? They're all in pipeline, or using parlors.
Robotics.
Right? It took my brother a long time to get one of those. So, but could we do it? Absolutely. Is it preparing our kids?
Would change definitely components of the educational system. And our educators would reflect on what we have to offer as a district to support them.
Yeah. We'd adjust. I mean, we always do.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Now summer school courses.
So with the weather the last couple of days, it's easier to believe that summer might be coming.
Yeah.
So knowing that's the case, we need to get our summer school courses approved. The first session of summer school is scheduled to run from June 13th to June 30th, and the second session is set to run from July 11th to July 29th. So we just recommend approval of the summer school courses as presented.
It's great to see so many classes. I mean, it's how the summer school program has really grown over the years. When my kids were little, there was not nearly as many classes, and I mean, summer's really robust offerings, I think. Now it's just like so much exciting, fun things to do and learn at the same time.
Notice how easy it is to navigate all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it is online and you can directly sign up. Not through
true.
paper, as the way it used to be, it was all paper. Sorry.
I'll make the motion to approve the summer school courses as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Bill and a second by Angie. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm disappointed they will only allow kids to take the summer school courses.
You could probably audit it. We need volunteers to help.
Any teacher would take you as a volunteer.
Now you're breaking up.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. CISA 5 contract
Yeah,
discussion.
so we, every year at this time, are looking at our CISA 5 contract for next year. Adria, Nick, and I met and discussed the annual contract with CISA. We made some adjustment based on our current district needs. I then met with the representative from CISA 5 last Friday to review and the updated provisions annual contract, and we recommend approval of this contract.
In our CISA 5 meetings that I attend as the representative, I will say that CISA 5 has I think, doing a lot to keep these costs from spiraling out of control. When they have an excess budget, like their fund balance is high, but they've been typically using that fund balance and making sure it doesn't get too high and bringing, that revenue in so that these prices don't have to go up. And so I think it's nice to hear that as a rep, that there's a lot of thought about what can keep this as affordable as possible.
Yeah, the other piece I would mention is, there's a lot of CISAs where, once this contract's signed, you are paying this regardless of what happens, where CISA 5 is pretty good. Like if we, for example, have audiology needs, and that student would move out of the district, they would then work with us to adjust the contract. Or with others. So that's typically when we start looking at CISA, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at really specialized needs for some of our special education students typically. But there's other services we have used as well. They help us with some reading, they help with the career and technical education pieces.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see this particular contract because it does list some of those things that I wasn't not aware that CISA was able to offer until I was on their board. But yeah, it like I've said this in the past, but like they're kind of here for us. They'll do things. I'll make a motion to approve the CISA 5 contract as presented.
Second.
Is that you, Julie?
Yeah.
Motion by Angie, second by Julie. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. There are no first policy readings and no second policy readings. There are no gifts or donations. Administrative reports. We go with the high school first this time.
To the administrative. We're gonna slow things down now.
Thank you.
No. No problem. So first of all, there's some appreciations. First of all, staff appreciation. I want to appreciate Sue Mefford, our Lodi High School Athletic Director, especially as we go into the spring season. She gets really, really busy because of the weather, and sometimes there are a lot of cancellations, so she has to deal with that. But something that I was sent an email by a former administrator from Beloit Turner. You can read it, but I want to read it. He wanted to thank us because he had come to the Beloit Turner Lodi regional semifinal basketball game. This is what he said. Just wanted to let you know how impressed I was Friday night. I'm a retired Beloit Turner administrator. From the moment I entered the high school, I was impressed with your students, staff, and parents. It is obvious that your teachers take great pride in their school. I could have not felt more welcomed. I thought I should let you know that Lodi left a wonderful impression on our Turner fans, even though you beat us. Congrats, Dr. William L. Beckley. So special thank you to Sue and her game workers for helping make our school such an inviting and welcoming place for our visitors. So that's really nice to hear from visitors anytime they come into our schools. Student recognitions, we had District Solo and Ensemble, and you can see all of the names of the kids that participated. And there were 19 kids that advanced to state, so congratulations to them. I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to go see the spring play, Clue. It was outstanding. I was only able to go on Sunday, and I wish I could have seen it a few more times, so that was really a fun play to watch. There were 26 students that performed, one former student who helped with costumes, hair and makeup, and 3 parent volunteers. So I really appreciate all their efforts. It was a great performance. I want to recognize Diana Carls and crew and the partnership she has created with the Little Explorers and a lot of our students at the high school. Just recently, our art class, or one of Whitney Robarge's art class, participated or worked with the Little Explorers to draw and paint dinosaurs, which was really fun. We had a couple special weeks that happened during the month of February. We had Ally Week, which is run by our GSA club, or Gay Straight Alliance Club. It's an annual week. And during Ally Week, student organizers plan events and actions to identify, support, and celebrate allies, with particular attention to those allies who stand up against anti-LGBTQ name-calling, bullying, and harassment in schools. So I really appreciate their efforts. And then we had FFA Week, and I'm sure Ashley's going to talk a little bit about that, but we had some really fun days for FFA Week and a lot of participation by a lot of our students. I know Jason Marshall wrote this probably in the co-curricular report, but I did want to mention some of the achievements of our state or individual state wrestlers, especially Zane Licht, who's a junior, who captured the state championship for the first time since 2009 for an individual wrestler. So congratulations to Zane and his parents. And the FFA had a blood drive, and they earned scholarship opportunities, $750 worth of scholarships for seniors that would like to apply. Because of their efforts, they've had 2 blood drives this year, and they've done an outstanding job with that. We had our ACT testing day. Only 3 juniors did not take the ACT on that day, so there are only 3 that have to make it up. So we did a really good job getting kids into school that day, and I want to recognize Grant Lemke and Ann Kirschbaum for their efforts in getting everybody ready for that. And then we have our spring jobs fair. I think I mentioned this last time, but we have 15 businesses so far that are interested in participating in the jobs fair. And there are many other businesses that have not gotten back to us. So at the beginning of April, we're going to reach out to them. And that is that. That's the high school. Thank you.
15 already, that's a lot. Excuse me. Curriculum.
Yeah, you know what, I'm gonna start by, I'm gonna rearrange my updates and just maybe piggyback off of, let me take this off. I lose contacts. Okay, so curriculums, I'm really excited. If you've been on the School District of Lodi Facebook page or the OSC Facebook page, you're gonna see right away. I mean, these kids and these teachers are just crushing it when it comes to making community connection partnerships, connecting with businesses. And I just wanna put a plug here. OSC has their Community Gems Student Project Night, and that is gonna be from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock on March 17th. And so you have these students who have connected with community service organizations or businesses, and they've done a project with that. And it's simply amazing. And OSC by itself has already made so many community connection partnerships. So again, check out Facebook's. The pictures are amazing, and huge props to OSC for everything they're doing with that district goal that connects directly to our strategic plan. So we have to get some of those businesses maybe to be in the jobs fair. And then also on there, this kind of falls into business and industry. A big thank you to Jamie Licht. So we talked about Zane winning a state championship, but he's our career and technical education teacher, his dad. And then Tyler Potter as well, who completed the Wisconsin Fast Forward Technical Education Equipment Grant and got a brand new CNC machine for the high school. So it's a matching grant, and we have some state funds, some Carl Perkins funds, so matching kind of our Carl Perkins funds with this grant opportunity. You see a picture there of this brand new CNC machine that the students are gonna get to use, it looks really sharp, and I think it's gonna be a great piece of equipment. So that's kind of back to when we talk about ESSER 3 funds as well, leveraging some of those ESSER 3 funds and some of those matching grant opportunities that are out there to kind of get some additional funds to really support that career and technical education arena. And then I just want to say, we have state assessments coming up. We talked about the ACT. ACT Aspire will be coming up for our 9th and 10th graders. We're getting ready for the Forward exam that will be happening for our 3rd through 8th graders. Just finished up with the state access exam for English language learners, of which we tested 44 students. So we're up to, and we have a couple of students who are in like a monitoring period who don't have to take the access exam. So we're right around upper 40s for ESL students in the district right now. Growing population contributes to this great school and community.
LCAT's next. Terry's not here, so I'll read the report for you. Brian is currently teaching in-depth program to 2 students at the high school. The in-depth program is an evidence-based program designed as an alternative to suspension or citation for students who have been caught with tobacco products on school grounds. Part of federal grant requirements that LCAT has, a progress report was completed. The report was sent to the Drug-Free Community Grant Service for a review. The results of this progress report will be given to you in an upcoming report. The current LCAT grant expires in September of 2022, and we continue to look for sustainability options. Knowing LCAT, that grant will not be renewed, so we will be losing LCAT if we don't find other funding. LCAT with sponsors of the coffee cart for the Staff Appreciation Fridays in March. We are working with Buttercream Bakery for delicious goodies, as you heard earlier. Alcohol and tobacco compliance checks will be held this spring. Compliance checks are an evidence-based strategy that involves underage trained youth attempting to purchase tobacco products. Students are 16 and 17-year-olds, or they try to purchase alcohol products from 18 and 19-year-old students in local establishments. And then they will share those results with the board in an upcoming report.
So just a follow-up on that, Adam, the compliance checks were done today in town, or the Lodi and their surrounding, and we did awesome. Community did awesome. 0% of our local businesses sold to teenagers.
Yay.
Which was awesome. They did a great job. So thanks to our community partners and our businesses for doing that and protecting our youth.
Okay, Ashley, student representative.
Sure. Mr. Dowling touched on a lot of what I had written down, but we had National FFA Week. We had some dress-up days that were really fun, and one of the highlights, we had a farmer relay where one person had to pedal down on like a pedal tractor, and one person ran down and had to put on coveralls and boots. And then the person that rode down on the pedal tractor had to get into a wheelbarrow and then wheel back. So that was a sight to see. It was really fun. I even participated. And then Solon Ensemble, we have quite a few kids going to state. All three a cappella groups from the choir, like choral department, and then a couple individuals and groups from band as well. Some athletic seasons are wrapping up, but we're really ready for spring sports to start too. We're excited for spring break. He mentioned the high school production of Clue was a really big success. And then also, FFA is really excited. On March 22nd, we are hosting a petting zoo in the egg shop for high school students who don't really get that opportunity in their daily lives to see some really cute animals. So, yeah.
Cool, thank you. Student services.
Yes. First, I'd like to recognize Rebecca Eller. She's our district physical therapist. She hosted an adaptive bike workshop at the middle school last month. An individual from Emory Bikes out of Milwaukee brought in a couple of bikes and equipment to trial and share ideas with caregivers and therapists. The purpose of the workshop was to jumpstart the lifelong opportunity of recreation, wellness, and physical health. We had 8 students participate in the workshop from Lodi and some of our surrounding districts. So a special thanks to Rebecca, also the individual from Emory Bikes, also to Principal Pertzborn and Jill Whale to help coordinate this experience for our students. The Lodi School District hosted another Crisis Prevention Institute training last month. Gordy Beyer, one of our in-house trainers, trained 5 staff members. That training encompasses de-escalation techniques, recognizing signs and stages of escalating crisis, and how to match that with adult responses, and also the appropriate use of physical intervention as a last resort. The Park Executive Committee met last month. We discussed the nominations for our annual awards and reviewed the mission and goals for Park. The group also discussed the current opioid situation in Columbia County and treatment options that are within Columbia County. Both Paula Enger and Brian Bilsey also shared some literacy resources that could be helpful for young children to cope with and better understand their parent or caregiver addiction.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Primary school.
Yep, so we have a parent-teacher conferences coming up this week, tomorrow and Thursday, so just looking forward to having a chance to connect with families and share what's going well, as just plans for the rest of the year. So it's a great opportunity with a book fair as well. We have the Big Buddies program that's been going on. I don't think I've highlighted that yet, but we have 14 students from the primary that are partnered with students from the high school. We'll have another opportunity for them to meet on this coming Wednesday. And it's just great to have the high school students come in and get to know the students and just, again, positive relationships between the two buildings, so that's wonderful. We had 4K Roundup, which was fabulous last year. It was virtual, and this was my first 4K Roundup. It was wonderful just to see the students come in with their families and just it's the start of the whole experience for them. So there was lots of different emotions you could see from the kids as they came into the building, like this is their school, and then the parents, the tears that they had, and it was wonderful. We had about 65 to 70 students and their families in 1 hour session. The 4K team were able to just get a chance to start to know the kids a little bit, and I was able to engage in conversations about what our 4K program looks like. Mrs. Winters was there, and so was Pollyanna. One thing that we shared was the change that we're going to make with our 4K program coming this coming fall. So right now we have 2 4K sections in the morning with early childhood, and the 3 4K in the afternoon, and we're going to switch it to have 3 4K sessions in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, just because it's a pretty desirable spot, and want to just offer more opportunities for our families to have 4K in the morning for their students. Literacy goal, working towards that, we just took the survey that we took last year, and so Nick and I are going to be meeting tomorrow to really look through those results and see the growth that we've made, as well as like our next steps for literacy. And then as far as PBIS connected to the pillar, the nurturing the whole child, each month we are taking a different question that was on the survey the students took and trying to just dive into it at a deeper level. So for the month of March, I know it's okay to make mistakes and can learn from them. So on Monday I share a short little video trying to connect with the students on my personal, what I would recommend, and then just each day there's a challenge that I'll say on the announcements for something for them to think about. So.
Okay, thank you. Elementary OSC.
Yeah, we are like others. It's amazing how much time in the spring of the year you spend getting ready for next year. So Nick mentioned, I'm going to kind of steal everybody's reports. Nick mentioned that we're getting ready for forward testing, so grades 3 through 5 on the LES side and OSC. It's a little rusty too because forward looked different over the last 2 years, and there's been some tests that were taken off that were brought back. So just getting everything ready for that so that our kids can showcase the work that we've done around literacy and just over the pandemic and closing gaps since the pandemic. And so that's forward. Then that leads us right into our spring assessments. So after forward testing, we'll do our F&P, which is the individualized reading assessment, where all 3rd grade students and targeted 4th and 5th grade students take it across both buildings. And then in May, we'll do the iReady, so go right into then our end of year iReady assessment as well, which that tool is used heavily in the literacy check on the scorecard. Another thing that is getting ready to ramp up is placement process, so making class lists for next year. So we'll start by soliciting information from families. I already have dates set for staff to meet and make those placements, and so that's happening. We also had our LES OSC Info Night, which is specifically designed for people that are deciding whether to apply for the OSC lottery. So we had about 20 people come, and we do that in the context of a tour of the whole building and then talk about what OSC is and what LES is so that people have that information to make decisions. And then I'm very excited to tell you that for the first time in 2 years, we have a Fine Arts Night schedule, which is where, for those of you that don't know it, is where students come together and sing a couple songs by grade level, and then their artwork is displayed through the school. So for obvious reasons, it was canceled the last 2 years, and that is Tuesday, April 12th, starting at first performance starts at 5:15, and the last one ends probably about 6:30-ish. So.
And is that the same, so 5:15 to 6:30, is that also the time for to see the artwork?
Yes, the art is actually just displayed up
Right,
the school,
but
yes.
that's the time to come in to hear
Yep.
them sing, but.
Your child sings, then your child will walk you through to show you their art, and then you're free to go after that.
Right. But me not having a child there, I can just
Sorry.
come see.
You not have, then you're welcome to come whenever you would like to see kids sing and to see art.
Yes, their art is amazing. Every time I'm in that building, I'm blown away as an artist at their work. Lodi Middle School.
So first thing, we have a new staff member we want to welcome is Damara Brynick. She's going to join us as a special education assistant, and Damara's been working as a special education teacher at Madison East High School, and she is actually a graduate of Lodi High School, and I actually had her when I was a math teacher at Lodi High School, so it's small. We're going full circle here. I want to thank Paula Ton for giving a survey to 6th graders. So as a part of her educator effectiveness, she surveyed all 6th graders. I don't think she got to quite all of them, but the majority of them. But one of the statements that she put on there was to assess 6th graders on the statement, "I'm a better reader now than I was last year." And 87% of those 6th graders either strongly agreed or agreed with that statement. And of the students that were surveyed, 59 students strongly agreed and 25 agreed. And that's just really good feedback given our strong initiatives on literacy this past year. As requested, I continue to update the data on library checkout, and you can see we continue to outpace other years by a fair margin. And another thing I want to highlight, and I want to thank Katie Crane and Jen Morgan for this opportunity for our students, is Mentes Abiertas. I hope I say that right, but it means open minds in Spanish. And what that is it's a leadership group at the high school that actually comes over to the middle school and does some mentorship of our students. So they come over and play games and really just celebrate culture is really what it's all about, and it's really to foster a sense of belonging. As in within our strategic plan. So I know one of the upcoming events that they have planned is to have the 8th grade students that have been a part of this committee go over to the high school to kind of give them a head start on making some connections with just the building and with students up there, which I think is a really great opportunity for our students. And the rest is just some classroom activities.
Thank you for those classroom activities.
Okay.
District Administrator report.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we are coming to the end of our referendum presentations. There's an information session tomorrow from 6 to 7:30 at the primary school, aligned with primary school conferences and the book fair, so hopefully we'll get some traffic in through that way. There's again another coffee with superintendent, last one here on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. at Buttercream Bakery. Again, encourage people to just go to the website and check out all the resources there, including the frequently asked questions document, and a big shout out, I know how busy our municipalities are, allow the district to come out and speak at their meetings. It's been great. Secondly, just want to mention spring break is upcoming, as Ashley mentioned, and all school and school offices, including district offices, are closed for spring break, beginning the end of the day, Friday, March 25th, through Friday, April 1st. That will also impact our COVID testing site at the high school, which will be closed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of spring break week, but will be open on Thursday and Friday, March 31st and April 1st from 8 to 11, and we'll send that information out as well. You may have noticed as you've driven by the Highway 60 here that our marquee sign has changed, thanks to a $5,000 donation from the Dolly Fund from the Little Methodist Church. $1,000 donation from WPPI to offset some of the costs. We were able to replace that marquee sign, which was being held together by, I don't know, paper clips and duct tape and bubble gum and everything else. And we've been trying to get that to work, and we just couldn't get it to work anymore. And finally, just wanted to let you know we had a snow day a week ago Monday. We always try not to have a 2-hour delay turn into a snow day, but it, as we went through the National Weather Service shared. 5 to 7 p.m. or 5 to 7 a.m. was going to be the prime spot for us to get snow. It kind of went from 5 to 8 as that extra hour kind of got us. So plow drivers just could not get ahead of it in time for our buses to get there safely. If we could have a 4-hour delay, it would have been fine. We really don't have a schedule for that. So it ended up turning into a snow day. Just again, I never try to have a 2-hour delay turn into a full day because it just impacts parents so much. So it was just one of those perfect events, and was just if you watched the webinar, it was exactly right. There was just a line of snow coming, and it went right through us, and it's just where we are. So we'll always make sure our kids are safe first and staff safe first before anything else. That's really all I have.
So board president report. So this is the last monthly board meeting before the April referendum, where I have a chance to tell everyone in this school district how wonderful and amazing the school district is. So of all the school districts around us, we of course have the greatest teachers, the greatest administrators, and the greatest staff. We also have some of the best and most challenging programming and curriculum that is out there. We offer extremely diverse and challenging opportunities for all of our students. And we have all of this because of the community we live in. Community that cares about students and strives to go out of their way to support student opportunities. Our school district directly reflects the community it is a part of, and that community is dedicated, hardworking, fair, caring, and loving. We are one and the same. Thank you. Individual reports, CISA 5.
CISA 5, I think I've talked pretty much about the things that we talked about at the last meeting about CISA trying to keep the costs down to the school districts, continuing to have superintendent meetings. We had a presentation by Heather Fish. She's one of their key staff members there, and she's been helping some districts document curriculum so that they're, you know, like, and I think in Lodi, we're kind of ahead of the game with that, with having teachers, you know, basically documenting what they're doing, and so that it's available to other teachers available. And that she was mentioning that there's plenty of districts who really need to work on that. She's helping them. I think that's kind of it with CISA.
Co-curricular.
Our wrestling team wrapped up a strong season at individual wrestling tournament on February 24th through 26th, bringing home our first individual championship since 2009. And yes, I know it's repetition, but gosh, it's fun. Following students participated in a state tournament. Zane Lick took first place. Wyatt Rip, second place. Chandler Curtis, fourth. Parker Hintz, third. Brock Byer was a state qualifier. The boys basketball team finished the season with an overall record of 17 wins and 8 losses, and a conference record of 8 wins, 2 losses, and a number 3 seed in the regional. They beat Beloit Turner 76-70 at home on Friday, March 4th, and fell to Columbus in the regional championship game 65-52. The girls' basketball team finished the season with an overall record of 6-19 and a conference record of 2-8, earning a number 10 seed in the regional. They fell to Clinton 73-68 on Wednesday, February 23rd. The Norski Co-op hockey team finished the season 7-13, earning a number 12 seed in the playoffs. They fell to Sauk Prairie Co-op on February 15th by a score of 6-2. And I have been a board member since the hockey co-op started, and this is absolutely the best record they've ever had. So they are headed in the right direction. Thank you to their coach, Mr. Richter. The Stoughton Iceberg hockey team finished the season with an overall record of 4 wins and 10 losses and a conference record of 2-3, earning a number 4 seed in the playoffs. They beat Beloit Memorial on Friday, February 18th by a score of 3-1 and fell to top-ranked Middleton on February 23rd by a score of 5-0. Mock trial team took home the regional championship, winning all 4 of their trials on February 12th and 13th. They competed in the state mock trial tournament on March 5th and 6th, and this was the first trip to state for all of this year's mock trial team. On Saturday, February 19th, Lodi hosted the Lodi Forensics Tournament. Michael Schiller took home 5th place finish for pros. In February, the forensic team participated in sub-district with the entire team earning scores to move on to the district tournament in March. The Lodi High School put on a thrilling production of Clue. The play had a record number of people in attendance for their shows earlier this month. Congrats to all of them involved in a wonderful performance. I got to see it. I don't know who had more fun, the audience or the student. It was good. Start dates for spring sports are as follow: track and field, March 7th, softball, March 14th, girls soccer and softball, March 21st, and the golf team, March 28th.
Okay, thank you. OSC report won't happen because Barb's not here tonight. Contract review.
I was not able to make the meeting. Julie chaired the meeting. I believe the main
was pretty
agenda item
short.
was the staff reductions if the referendum does not pass.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about, because the main part of the meeting, we met briefly, and then you guys went to do interviews.
Right.
So
Oh,
the
for the
contract review
insurance.
committee
For the
did
insur-
interviews
okay,
with
yeah, that was
insurance,
kinda
so
combined in
Yeah,
that.
it was a
pretty
pretty
much the
short
focus of the
meeting.
meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for curriculum, we met on the March 2nd. Oh, sorry, not curriculum. Yeah, sorry.
Curriculum, let's do
Yeah,
curriculum
never
first.
mind. Go ahead.
There we go.
I'm on facility finance.
We'll
Like, what are you
eventually get
talking
used to who's
about?
the chair of what committee, and then we'll switch it all up in April, right?
Switching next month.
Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
right. We had a pretty full agenda. We we discussed a lot of things. So I won't read in detail. Most notes are a lot better than mine. Stick to mine. So the World Language Department. Oh, was that your notes? Maybe it was your notes. Never mind.
Dr. Carl's notes.
Oh, it's your notes. You did a great job. Maybe I'll reference them. The World Language Department program is middle school through 12th grade. In 8th grade, they focus on Spain and present tense. 7th grade, likes and dislikes, grammatical differences. 6th grade, March Madness, music and musicians. So those are kind of the different areas. In high school, they mentioned that the biggest struggle is just adjusting back to normal due to COVID. But they talked about our CAP courses, our future goals with that, and to expand the program, offer trips to Spain or Chicago. That would be like a big rock goal, and to do that to experience Latino life. Their needs right now are to encourage families in our community to support, and then heritage speakers. So that's what they're kind of looking for. And then they'd love to do an award ceremony at the end of the year for the completion of the program. We think that would be a cool idea. We talked about STEAM, that department report. Mr. Potter came in and gave a recap, an overview of the STEAM programming in our school district. We currently have a fully articulated K through 12 STEAM program, and that focuses on critical thinking and collaboration, which is great. I think they did an open house where they want to do an open house where parents can come and see. That's what we talked about.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
We would like to do an open
Yeah.
house. So that parents and the community could just kind of come in and see actually what's happening. Because it's one thing to talk about, oh, STEAM, like what is that? But then like when we walked through that school, to actually see how kids are learning, I think that's fascinating. So I would love to see that. The fabrication lab store did very well with having their first one. It was their first spring sale?
Holiday sale.
Holiday sale. And they did very well. Their hopes are to continue continued support and ability for growth. Let's see. CTE department program. Student interest is very high in this. They have very full classes, and they thrive with in-person classes in this department is what they noted. And then there's lots of young interest in this as well. So the numbers are up in the FFA. And they can get certifications through Microsoft for students. There's opportunities for youth apprenticeship that has grown. Their hopes for the future, opportunities for growth, family, consumer science. And then the very last thing, we had Mr. Pertzborn come in and give us an update of the middle school schedule, how that is going, and that was great to hear that they adjusted the schedule this year, and he kind of took that on from, what was his last name?
Mr. Prosick.
Leaving, he took that on, and he just gave an update on how that's going. And I think overall, well, right? And then the very last thing is that I had mentioned I would love to see getting students into working the elections, high school students with the different municipalities that they live in. So we're working on that. 30,000-foot view.
Finance facility.
All right, finance facility met on March 2nd. We talked about a pollinator garden proposal with the Interact Club. They're going to be putting in a pollinator garden out by the greenhouse in that little awkward spot on the other side of the old greenhouse, kind of where the electric, all the stuff comes in there. So that's going to be happening this spring. We talked about the iPad lease, which was on tonight's agenda. Grant application.
We're
Oh,
Mr.
that was
Rivals,
yep, the
Middle
grant application for the middle school. So we put in and we don't know, we could get a lot of money or a little money
That number
but-
was $330,000?
That's what we applied for.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
For the HVAC control systems at the.
But I took it, there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
What we get, yeah, but so we applied for that grant. Food service, we had a review with Taha, our food service, everything's going well there. We talked about the ESSER 3 funding, preliminary plan or schedule that we went through tonight. We also talked about the audit, which we have in our mailboxes, so everyone has a copy in their mailboxes tonight. So that's the annual financial audit that the district does with an independent CPA. And we talked about a little bit about the referendum and then budgets for this year and for next year.
Always a full meeting. Policy.
We've been working on a really fun policy called controversial issues. Not that we ever have any, but it seems that since we're dealing with humans and human-type things come up, that, for example, people are looking for guidance, and our own teachers are looking for guidance about kind of like, do we talk about this? Do we not talk about this? So we needed some lawyer guidance, and we got some back, and we get to visit it again on Wednesday night of this week.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Future meeting and agenda items are there. Anybody would like to add anything? Contact Vince, and he will put it on there. There is no reason to go back into closed session, so.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Angie and a second by Bill. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? We now adjourn 5-0. Let me hit everybody.
Thanks for filling in, Mr. Haran. Appreciate it.